Hey there guys, Alex here again. Welcome to another one. Today we're going to be talking about framework or language adoption, and I came up with this idea because I discussed it with my CTO Ola at Dream Data where I currently work, and I think it would be a great discussion because a lot of people in my streams have been either chatting with each other about or asking me, hey Alex, what do you think about frameworks X, frameworks Y, why you're not using this, why you're using that, etc, etc, etc. So I would like to demystify this today. I think it's going to be a short video, but I think it's also a valuable one so you can, as a developer, mature in a way to understand why some technologies have captured the market so fast and why some, even though they're super nice and super great, are not managing to do so. So I drew a little diagram on the whiteboard, but I'm going to try to illustrate it with my hands. Basically, if we go back to 2006, when we built, UI experiences using jQuery for the most part, the UI framework land was pretty simple. Competition was very low. And then if we go back to year 2010, so we're here, we go to 2010, we got AngularJS or Angular 1. That was probably the hugest paradigm shift in history of the browser. We suddenly, went from a lot of manual stuff, manipulating the DOM, having too many opinions. You go from one project to another, it's completely different. Now where in my experience, idiomatic JavaScript or frameworks started coming in. So when AngularJS came out, even though looking at it today, from today's perspective, it would be a bad framework to say, it was still in my experience, in my opinion, the first actual framework that came with a very strict set of opinions, but it was a way it opened up or created some opinions on how we potentially can build UIs in the future. So with AngularJS, you had dependency injection, modules, controllers, directives, and this was good. This was good because it kind of encapsulated us. It closed it kind of narrowed the space for too many opinions. Is because when you're hiring people, you want to be able to create some sort of environment where you don't have to relearn every single thing every single time when you start on a new project. So Angular really brought that right. It gave us this kind of strict set of features, and no matter which project you would go to, you would know what any of those patterns are. Now in 2013, React.js came out, and that was another paradigm shift. It was really amazing. It was this super simple library, not a framework, it's a library, so very different from Angular. You came from Angular, you had all of this stuff, you had to know really a lot of JavaScript, you had to know a lot of patterns, and you should know those things anyway, but regardless, React.js came out, and it was like, wow, this is so easy. I can just write a component, then I can write another component, then I can combine those two components or multiple components. Then we started using those functional terms like function composition, component composition. Then we started using higher order components. So we started getting more and more ideas how we can use this super nice, super great library, super simple library that really just uses functions to output some UI. It was incredibly great. And then on top of that, we came up with a virtual DOM. So it was all great, right? And now, since 2013 to this day in 2023, not much has actually changed. We came up with a lot of nice APIs for state management. We utilized the Flux pattern more. We built the Redux, and we maybe started using observables more. Functional programming really took over a lot of JavaScript world, but for the most part, the progress of technologies has been quite linear, right? So since 2013, a couple of years later, Vue.js came out. Ivan Yu, he combined his knowledge from AngularJS and React.js, and then he created Vue.js. And all of those things are great, and some of those technologies exist to get next to each other, and they complement each other, they push each other. And now the question is, what this video is about, why are we not seeing more of those kind of shifts? Why some of those new technologies are having such a hard time capturing a bigger market share, right? And the answer is quite simple, right? We are not seeing those leaps anymore. When people to my stream, when people come to my stream and say, "Hey, Alex, did you see this? Did you see this? UI library X? It does this like this." And my response is always the same. Nobody cares, right? It's like a business, a community, a living business is not going to switch to technology X because they improve things by 2%. by 5%. That's just from a business perspective irrational, right? We need way more jumps as we had before than what we are thinking that's going to change the world today. So in simple words, you have those libraries like Stencil.js and I don't know, a bunch of those new things, and they're quite great, don't take me wrong. The only problem that those technologies have, unfortunately, is that they came out way too late. If those things came out, for example, also in 2013, 15, whatever, their chance of taking over the world and bigger market share would be a lot bigger. But think about it this way, like if you're a founder, if you are a potential founder, co-founder, you're starting a business now, or you have a running business, you would rationally be making decisions based on, you would choose a stack or a technology that you can hire people easy with, that has a huge community of libraries, Stack Overflow questions, I don't know, ChatGPT knowledge, a lot of data, because you want your people to be productive. So the worst thing about those new frameworks and why they're struggling so much is that they just came out in the time when 2 or 3 technologies which are already really good exist. So this is kind of, I guess, the main point of this video that I want to try to make. If you're ever wondering why are people not using something, why is it taking so long for those things to blossom and stuff like that, it's very simple. If I actually take my camera here, and if we take a look at this thing here, you can see basically that I drew this very simple thing, but you can see that 2013 here we have React, and then we have Vue, but now in 2023, if I actually take a pen, right? If I take a pen, we're now kind of here, right? 2023, right? It's quite linear, right? You can see that this line, so there hasn't been a paradigm shift. There hasn't been anything that really happened to really push all of us developers to switch. Like say, hey, but there's this new UI library that optimizes the code during the build time, not the runtime and stuff. That's great. That's perfect. We need new ideas. I always say more power to those people, those brilliant people who are building this. But that's not sufficient for a business to switch to something because of a micro optimization. Sure, maybe it's a larger optimization. Maybe it's 10%, 20%, even 30% in, let's say, efficiency. But then ask yourself, how much efficiency relative to that would you lose if you would switch to it? It has a poor community. There isn't many open source libraries built for it. So whenever you're trying to account for productivity or performance or whatever, as a founder, as a CTO, as whatever role, right, you have to account for those types of things. Okay, so we're gonna switch to, let's say, framework X, and we're gonna gain 20% performance in speed. Sure, that's great, but what about other types of performances that you have to account for? What about efficiency of your developers to deliver the product, right? What about, so there's so many aspects of this that when a new thing comes out that you have to account for. For example, how easily would it be to find a developer who's actually an expert in this technology? This technology, has been out for a year. How, can I find people easy for that? Or can I just find a React developer, for example, on the street, every third person is one, right? So this is kind of the gist of this discussion today. I think in order for us as a community to move forward, to really kind of switch to something else, we need a huge paradigm shift again. We need to come up with something, we need to build something that's so good that even companies and leaders and CTOs and CEOs are willing to say to their development teams, oh man, this is actually so good, this is so much better, that it provides so much business value that it would simply be stupid to not invest our future time in that relative to this thing here today. This is really a video today. This is kind of what I wanted to discuss. This is just to trigger your brain in case that you watch this video. But as I always say in my streams, as I always say in all of my videos, be a developer that's driven by value. Be a developer that's not limited in its own domain, its own world only. If you're ever evaluating a technology, if you're ever thinking about what to use, you have to put yourself in various different shoes of people. You have to be mature, and that's how you can make the right technical decisions as well. In perfect world, if we were asked as developers to always make those technical decisions, being nerds as we are, we would always be like, oh, this is more concurrent. Oh, this has a better state management mechanism, so it's better. Sure, All of that is valid, but world and business spans way broader than just us building components or writing if statements, etc., etc., etc. This is the video for today. I hope you learned something new. This is not really something mind-blowing, but it's more to trigger you to think about this in a certain way, and just to kind of teach you or to kind of make you aware that if you're ever wondering why something is not gaining traction, why something is not as great or fast as something else, or why is it not happening as fast, why the adoption is not happening as fast, that's simply because it doesn't provide enough of value, it doesn't make that paradigm shift. Hence, companies, have a hard time investing their money and people into that. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm gonna go back, enjoy my free time. It's the last week before I got back into the machine and start working again, start streaming again. I wish you well. As always, take care of yourselves, do something good for yourselves, and I wish you best. Peace out, and Alex out. Peace out. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye. Bye.